If someone had told me falling in love in New York would feel like stepping onto a subway track with your eyes closed, I would have laughed, then probably tripped over my own shoes. Yet here I was, heart pounding against my ribs, staring at him like he was the only person on the planet who mattered. And maybe he was. I first saw Luke in that tiny coffee shop on the Lower East Side. He was leaning over the counter, scribbling something in a notebook, oblivious to the world, and it hit me. He didn't belong to anyone but his thoughts. And yet, something magnetic radiated from him, the kind of pull you can't fight. My alpha instincts screamed caution, but curiosity, dangerous and sweet, pushed me forward. Mind if I join you? I asked, voice steadier than I felt, though every nerve ending screamed that asking him to notice me might be the most reckless thing I'd ever do. He looked up, startled, and his eyes gentle, searching, hesitant met mine. Sure, he said. He gestured at the chair across from him, and when I sat, the air between us seemed to vibrate, electric, a quiet tension that didn't need words. Luke had that omega softness that made people want to protect him, to hold him close even when the world was harsh. I, the alpha, felt a protective instinct I hadn't recognized in myself until that very second. Days blurred into nights as we navigated New York together. Streetlights painted golden streaks on wet asphalt, neon signs reflected in puddles, and in every corner of the city, our laughter mixed with rain. We became inseparable, our steps perfectly synchronized, as if the city itself had conspired to bring us together. But love, as I quickly learned, was never simple. Luke carried scars, subtle but heavy, invisible yet palpable. Nights when the city hummed with life, he would retreat, curling into himself like he could disappear if he wished. I tried to reach him, but each attempt risked pushing him further away. Why do you always pull back? I asked one night, standing too close in the cramped space of his apartment, the hum of traffic below like a heartbeat against ours. I don't want to hurt you, he whispered, eyes shimmering, voice breaking. Alphas always end up breaking omegas. The words hit me like ice water. Luke thought I would hurt him, that my instincts, my desires, my strength were dangerous. And in a way, maybe he was right. But my heart, me human, irrational heart wanted only to show him that I could be careful, that I could be gentle. I reached out, brushed a stray strand of hair from his face, and he flinched, then leaned into my hand, a fragile surrender. You're not like them, he murmured, eyes flicking to mine, searching, vulnerable. You're different. Our first kiss wasn't perfect. It was messy, fumbling, tentative. But it was ours, a silent promise stitched between the chaos of city lights and our racing hearts. I tasted rain and something sweeter possibility, hope, and a hint of forever. Even in the heat of our budding romance, reality clawed back. My alpha nature was volatile, protective to the point of obsession. Luke, delicate yet stubborn, resisted the instinct to lean fully on me. Tension sparkled between us like the skyline at night, beautiful and dangerous. Arguments flared intense, almost suffocating, but beneath every clash was a pulse of longing neither of us could ignore. One rainy evening, we found ourselves on the Brooklyn Bridge, the wind whipping around us, umbrellas useless against the storm. I grabbed his hand without thinking, threading our fingers together. Stay with me? I demanded softly, though the storm screamed around us. Luke looked at me, drenched hair plastered to his forehead, cheeks flushed. He didn't speak at first, just let our hands intertwine. A small but defiant act against everything that had made him wary. I want to, he admitted, voice trembling. More than I've wanted anything. And that night, under the flood of New York rain, we discovered a rhythm, a delicate balance between my fierceness and his gentleness. Our bodies pressed close, hearts thrumming in synchrony. A dance older than words, older than the city itself. The storm couldn't touch us. The chaos of life outside couldn't fracture what was forming between us. Yet, even in the bliss, I felt the weight of the world pressing against Luke's shoulders. He didn't trust easily, didn't give himself fully, and each day was a negotiation between fear and desire, pain and joy. But as weeks turned into months, small victories became monumental. A shared apartment, late-night coffee runs, quiet mornings tangled in sheets, laughter echoing against the walls of our tiny sanctuary. I learned that love wasn't about perfection. It was about persistence, patience, and vulnerability. Luke taught me how to slow down, to savor moments without consuming them. While I showed him strength could be tender, protection could be love, and desire didn't have to hurt. Even as our love deepened, New York remained a challenge, its chaos, its relentless pace, a constant test of patience. But we learned to carve out moments for ourselves, stolen hours in quiet parks, rooftop nights where the skyline became our cocoon. One evening, Luke and I found ourselves in Washington Square Park, the fountain glimmering under street lamps, autumn leaves swirling around our feet. He leaned against me, his head resting lightly on my shoulder. "You make me feel alive," he murmured, voice barely above the whisper of the wind. I swallowed hard, feeling the surge of emotion that had haunted me since the first time I saw him. "And you make me human," I replied, the words raw and honest. My alpha instincts, my protective nature, all softened in the warmth of his gaze. The weeks that followed brought new trials. Luke's past shadows of heartbreak, mistrust, and fleeting loves rose like tides threatening to pull him away. And yet, every time we found a way back to each other. Arguments flared, tempers burned, tears spilled. But beneath it all, a thread of devotion held us together. I realized that love, true love, isn't the absence of struggle, it's the willingness to fight for one another, even when the world feels against you. The night that changed everything arrived unexpectedly. A sudden snowstorm blanketed the city, turning streets into slippery mirrors and traffic lights into shimmering ghosts. Luke and I were trapped in our apartment, the heater struggling, the windows frosted over. I found him curled on the couch, blanket wrapped around his shoulders, eyes distant and thoughtful. "Luke," I asked softly, sliding onto the couch beside him. His hand found mine, tentative, searching. "I don't want to lose this. Us," I confessed, voice trembling despite my effort to stay calm. He turned to me then, eyes glistening with unshed tears, lips trembling in a half-smile. "You're not losing me," he said, voice low but resolute. "I've been scared, but I've never been happier. I don't care about the world outside, as long as I have you." That night, we held each other close, snowflakes drifting past the frosted windows. The storm outside nothing compared to the whirlwind inside us. Every touch, every brush of skin, carried the promise of permanence, of healing, and of a love neither of us had dared to hope for before. The city slowly woke to a frozen morning, streets glistening with snow and possibilities. We ventured out, hand in hand, hearts lighter, laughter echoing down Fifth Avenue. There was magic in the mundane coffee cups warming cold fingers, the clatter of subways, the distant hum of life continuing around us. In those moments, I realized that love didn't need grand gestures. It thrived in small intimacies, in quiet affirmations, in the simple act of choosing each other every day. Luke's smile, soft yet radiant, became my anchor. I found myself noticing details I had missed before. The way his hair fell over his forehead, the gentle curve of his lips when he laughed, the softness of his hand against mine. And he, in turn, noticed my quiet steadiness, the way I tried to shield him without smothering, the way I learned to bend my strength into tenderness. Winter gave way to spring, and with it, the city bloomed anew, cherry blossoms painting streets pink, sunlight filtering through budding trees, a reflection of our own renewal. One afternoon, as we wandered along the High Line, Luke stopped, turning to face me with a seriousness that made my stomach twist with anticipation. "I don't want to imagine life without you," he said, eyes steady, unwavering. "You've changed me, made me braver, happier. I want this is forever." I cupped his face, thumb brushing over his cheekbone, my heart hammering with relief and joy. "Then we'll make it forever," I whispered, pressing my forehead to his. And in that moment, surrounded by the city we had learned to love, we sealed our promise not with grand words, but with a kiss that spoke of survival, trust, and enduring passion. Our journey was not flawless. There were still moments of doubt, of fear, of conflict, but we faced them together. And each time, our bond grew stronger, deeper, an unbreakable thread woven from shared vulnerability and unwavering devotion. Years later, when we would look back on that chaotic, beautiful New York beginning, we would remember the rain-soaked nights, the stolen kisses, the whispered promises, and the laughter echoing through apartments and streets alike. We learned that love, in its fiercest, sweetest, most transformative form, was not a fairy tale. It was messy, exhilarating, terrifying, and utterly worth every heartbeat. And as we walked hand in hand through the city that had witnessed our struggle and triumph, I realized, finally, that Luke wasn't just my Omega. He was my home, my heart, my life. No storm, no past pain, no fear could undo what we had built together. Fierce, tender, relentless, the love we had found in each other had truly changed both our lives forever. Thank you for listening. Don't forget to like and subscribe to stay updated with the latest videos.